I think makeup and music really kind of like marry up to create an artist persona. And almost kind of like a branding as well, something that makes that artist really, really recognisable. So it's super important.
Welcome to the Essence Podcast, your guide way to explore the colourful spectrum that is the human experience and beauty. My name is Alishea, I'm a presenter and an actress, and I'm really excited for this episode because it's all about music. So where are my fellow music lovers? In today's episode, we're going to be discussing charting music's impact on makeup. From Madonna to David Bowie, Courtney Love to Billie Eilish, pop stars and musicians have always had a big impact on the worlds of beauty and the music industry. Their status empowers them to maybe experiment a little bit more with beauty than the average person would by experimenting and trying things that are a little bit different. And you see these things in music videos, album covers, and photo shoots, and they don't just influence their fans, but the wider society too. Someone who knows the worlds of music and makeup very well is the guest on today's episode of the podcast, and that guest is the wonderful Georgia Hope. Hello, Georgia.
Hello.
So nice to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So, Georgia, do you want to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Of course. So I'm Georgia Hope. I've been a makeup artist in the music, well, primarily in the music industry since 2013, so about coming up for 11 years. I did start off a little bit more in like TV work, and I moved into fashion, and then really found my feet and my like full love for the industry when I started working with the musicians and being a small part of creating their vision and making it come to life and making them feel like the best version of themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's lovely. So we'll get started with what musicians and pop icons would you say push the boundaries within beauty norms and makeup the most?
There are so many. There are so many people that paved the way for the makeup looks that we kind of showcase today and are the most eye-catching or iconic. You've got people like Little Richard, who I feel like one of the first people to kind of start really playing with gender and like wearing a lot of makeup on stage and things like that. You go on to like Prince and David Bowie and kind of like, even like Mick Jagger and things with like eyeliner and stuff like that. Moving on to kind of the likes of like Nina Hagen and the way that she's a German singer, super iconic in how she does her makeup, just like completely from her own artistic style and uniqueness. But moving forward into kind of, you've got like Lady Gaga, who's been able to create so many different characters and become her art over the years. You've also got, obviously, I love Amy Winehouse and her eyeliner, which we will always, whenever we kind of see that big, bold eyeliner, for me anyway, it's the first person I think about is Amy Winehouse, Obviously, Madonna, kind of like with the beauty spot and her red lip was kind of like her branded kind of look in the kind of more 80s, I guess. I think makeup and music really kind of like marry up to create an artist persona. And almost kind of like a branding as well, something that makes that artist really, really recognisable. So it's super important.
Which iconic looks do you remember from when you were young, and do you think they've influenced your style?
For me, growing up, I always have been a huge fan of music videos. Like it's just been, I would, like whenever a music video came out, it was always like super exciting to me. And ones that really stick out in my mind are things like, like Lady Marmalade, Christina Aguilera, Dirty. Like I thought she was so iconic in that. Obviously like Shakira, Britney Spears, Toxic will be one that I always look back on with fond memories. And as I said, like going back far, like Nina Hagen, she's like quite theatrical, and I always quite admired the way that she went about things, very different to that of like Christina Aguilera and things like that.
Yeah, so they've all inspired you in different ways with how outrageous they kind of are and how against the norm.
I think it's like the ability to just like be whoever they want to be and express that through how they dress or what they, what makeup they wear and how they do it to stay true to them. I think what I admire most and what I like to take with me from those artists is kind of like the ability to be whoever you want to be. I know that sounds really like cheesy, but
it is true though.
It's almost like war paint in a way as well, and it kind of makes you feels stronger, you know, it, like the way that people act sometimes when they have makeup on and when they don't is like, you know, it can be a contrast and it can make people feel strong and like who they really are.
Yeah, totally. So what music subcultures do you think have kind of impacted the makeup world the most?
I think a lot of the most underrepresented communities have kind of paved the way for the most iconic looks and art when it comes to makeup. For example, the queer community, club culture, black makeup,
Yeah,
all kinds of things. And obviously, as a white woman, I can't speak on behalf of those communities. I'm not the voice of those communities, but I can really appreciate and respect the art and where it came from and how it's kind of paved the way for artists today to be able to fully express themselves, however that may be, you know?
yeah, definitely, because I guess they'd kind of have to go about it in their own way and find different routes to get to express themselves.
Yeah, and take inspiration from people who they feel kind of an affinity with, you know?
Yes.
It's really freeing, I think, makeup, you know? It can really free you from all of life's, like, day-to-day things. You can really just be whoever you want to be, and I think that's incredibly freeing.
In a sense of how you said makeup can, like, obviously express somebody's identity, have you got any anecdotes or stories from how you've gone about doing that for an artist? If they've got a music video or something, like, how would you show their identity through their makeup?
I mean, something that I always ask for before working with a musician. So I'll obviously, when I get booked on a job, we usually have like a phone call or a meeting, and I generally ask for them to send me over the song just so that I can have a listen to kind of the feel, the mood, the character, what they want to represent, you know? It kind of opens up like the freedom for me to like make little nuances in the makeup for kind of what they want to, how they want to present themselves.
If, for example, it was a happier song, would that affect how you did their makeup differently to if it was a ballad or something more serious?
Potentially, but it depends on the story that they want to tell, you know? I guess in a way, like I see there's the artist's vision, and then when they get me on board, it's like, how can I make that vision come to life while still staying true to that artist? It's so personal, makeup, you know? Not only am I in someone's personal space, but I'm in someone's like very personal vision, you know? And I think that when what you asked about whether it's a happy or a sad song, again, it depends on kind of the art, how the artist wants to be seen, how the artist wants to be heard, and how their kind of branding might already be set to like a certain look.
So it's like a collaboration that you need to do with them to make sure their identity's still there, but switching it up in different ways and experimenting.
A singer I work with called Big Pig, who's very open to kind of like creative ideas and will kind of like leave it to me, and then I'll do like a whole thing. She's like, yeah, let's go, let's try this like bright blue eye, and then we'll mix this in, you know? It's like you've got some people who are very open to kind of like changing their vibe and look and kind of being a bit of a chameleon for the story they want to tell, but then you've got other artists who kind of want to keep to their branding. A funny anecdote that I can think of where it comes to communication with kind of all the different teams. There was this one artist that I worked with once who didn't want to have a hairstylist on set and wanted to get it done beforehand, which meant that we didn't have really that full side of communication from that styling aspect of hair. The whole shoot was it was all done on a green screen, and she showed up with green hair. And the video never saw the light of day because it didn't work. You know, communication is so key when you're planning the looks and how you want to do stuff. And I look back at that and laugh because it was just such a, when she walked through the door, the whole set was just like, artists playing with gender is a very big part of the industry at the moment, I feel. And you also have like Troye Sivan, who did the music video, One of Your Girls, where he starts off more mask and then becomes, by the end, he's like this woman, like who looks inspired a little bit by Britney Spears and everything, you know, and that transformation and how he's able to tell that story, I find really, really interesting and just really inspiring.
Yeah, that's a key word, I think, telling a story, like trying to interpret that through makeup as well. So we've spoken about how makeup can obviously help the music industry and tell the stories, but do you know of any clear differences between how makeup would be used in music to how makeup would be used for film or TV or for fashion?
when I first started doing makeup, I was more on the kind of TV side of things. I worked on a couple of TV dramas. I used to work on This Morning. I think often when you're working with kind of like people on TV that are maybe like hosting or guests, it's more like natural and toned down, and it's not about the makeup. It's not supposed to steal the show in any way, shape or form. The makeup for TV is there to kind of just make sure people aren't too shiny and just make them kind of feel good in front of the camera, I think that fashion and music are more kind of interlaced in the same world than like TV and film. Because although film, you still have people people telling a story using different sorts of makeup, whether it be special effects or, period makeup or things like that. You have then fashion and music, which is more focal on the art and I guess the brand of the artist as well and what they're trying to kind of put across. I feel like it's a lot more artistic in that sense.
So obviously makeup is used in different ways, in different formats like TV, music videos, stuff like that. Do you think social media has had an impact on how makeup is used in music industry?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think it has. I think particularly with the younger musicians or musicians that are newer. But I think the whole world with like filters and things, like some artists use that to their advantage where they want to create like a crazy look that then is made into like a filter, a face filter that everybody can kind of like try and play with and make it fun, But then there's the other side of it where the idea of perfection with filters, like more beauty filters, makes people want maybe slightly heavier makeup. So I think it's like a double-edged sword. I think there's one side of it that means you can kind of be more creative with it and like play with things and make it look even more kind of like of a different world with a makeup look. We're using the like different social media platforms, primarily, like TikTok and Instagram. And it's trying to find the balance of those two things. I think.
Definitely. Because you want it to be a healthy balance as well, right?
Of course, and like a healthy relationship with it. But for sure, it's definitely changed the way that people see themselves and how they maybe want to present in the makeup world.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of making it more accessible to experiment maybe as well.
Exactly, 100%.
It's so easy to find a video of someone trying something different with their makeup and then everyone copies it and then the trend's changed by the next week and then try something else as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So are there any emerging artists or recent music videos that you can think of that have kind of inspired you, anything like that?
I mean, there are so many. I spend my evenings just watching music videos sometimes. But I think for me, particularly last year, I really enjoyed Doja Cat's campaign where she just went so ham on all of her looks, and it was just so fun to kind of watch, I found. We have in the UK, Charlie XCX, who is kind of, I guess, a little bit more Europe, UK than in America. But she's having a huge moment currently and is very like spot on with all her pop culture references. She had her music video that came out, the 361. I mean, Beyonce is always going to be an icon.
Iconic.
And I think as she ages as well, I really love seeing that she still has this kind of, she still just goes for it. And I find that really inspiring because obviously her fans are all growing up with her, if you like, and it's nice to see that she still just gives it all and like still can like really pull a look and just be amazing.
Yeah, I guess it's another important thing really, that it isn't just the younger generation that are at the forefront of doing all these cool makeup looks. You've also got people older that other people can relate to as well, because makeup is for everybody. Going
back to the whole Lady Gaga thing and how she kind of started just really trying to push boundaries and being art in any way, shape or form. I know from kind of interviews I've seen with her that in her hardest points of her life, she's almost turned to makeup and fashion to just elevate and like escape that, So some of her like biggest looks have come from like the darkest of places. Rihanna's rebrand, so iconic. Like the whole like blonde look that she's done. Again, I love that because in the same way as Beyonce, where she's obviously getting a bit older now, she's got kids. That fan base is the same sort of age.
She's had so many different looks as well, like through the years.
I think it can give such a freedom and like freedom to just be and play and escape and I'm really honoured to be a really small part of the artist's visions that I've worked with, and there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Makeup in the music industry plays a very important role in making the artist feel like either, you know, as true to themselves or the character that they want to put across, the message or the story they want to tell. It gives them freedom, it gives them escapism, and it gives the world, it sounds so lame, but it gives the world excitement. I love art,
so
and I think
true,
so many people, and when you put it with music, it's just combined to create and tell a really beautiful story.
You shared some really interesting and thought-provoking things there, Georgia, but do you have like, I don't know, a final summarising message or final words that you just want to sum up?
I think that makeup plays a big part in the music industry, helping artists feel like a character that they want to represent or to tell a story in their videos or in their, you know, photography or anything like that, on how they appear. I think that it's also really interesting to look at the influences of, you know, makeup throughout history and how we've who have paved the way for how it is today and how we kind of like present each other's ideas and inspirations. Yeah, I think makeup is an integral part of fulfilling an artist's vision for the story that they want to tell.
Yeah, it's very influential and it's a very powerful tool. I think you said that earlier as well.
It is.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing, that it's just a powerful tool.
Especially in this world now that we have with, you know, like social media and everything, like everything travels so fast. And, you know, people are always looking for kind of the next thing, you know, and I just think that, makeup really gives the freedom of expression to be whoever you want to be and tell the story that you want to tell.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you've given some amazing insights into not only your job, but like what you think of the makeup industry, the music industry as well, and how they translate and merge into each other as well. So thank you so much for like everything that you've said and shared. And it's been great learning about those things as well. Like, you're more of an expert than I am in that industry. So thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's been an honour to be here to speak to you about this today.
That's so kind. And thank you to everybody who's watching as well. We do this for you. And obviously the topics are all of different interests. So I hope this story spoke to you in some kind of way. So if there's any feedback that you want to give, please leave it in the comments, and make sure you subscribe as well so that you can catch the next episode. And whatever you're doing with your day, I hope it is fantastic. We'll see you soon.
Bye.